going to get started. So obviously, those who don't know me, I think some guys have been requested from their friends to friend me, especially in consideration of sort of getting started with these live sort of little DIY workshops, which I think inherently are extremely important. So my name is Dean Casamento, Director of Melbourne Corporate Health. I've been working the space of health and wellbeing for 19 years. Melbourne Corporate Health is my own business, basically providing coaching, training and facilitation to small to large size, actually small to large size businesses really across Australia, with a very much a strong niche now in the face of males, small to medium-sized business owners that literally want to be their very best self, their very best physical, mental and emotional self. And it's been a lifelong mission of myself to move beyond the past negativity that I experienced at a very, very young age. I witnessed many things that, to be honest, I wouldn't change. They were probably at times extremely painful because I didn't have the skills or the resources to move beyond some of those past experiences. But as I said, I wouldn't change anything. It's led me to where I am today. Beautiful wife, amazing children. Yeah, if you'd probably like sort of dream house, dream location down on the west coast on the Ballerine Peninsula in Victoria. And serving my clients in the best way that I know that I can through training, coaching and facilitation. So, I thought it'd be valuable to be able to start sharing some techniques that are very much available on the World Wide Web. But because of our busyness in life, we often don't take the time to go and search for those little things that could make all the difference, especially in this context, to do with, I use the word stress just as a sort of a catchphrase, but more around, how can we go about moving beyond the all those different types of emotions that fall under stress. And there are absolute gamut of different types of techniques. Different modalities to which some of them that I'm trained in, some of them I'm about to be trained in. And there's many modalities that you can do yourself. You don't need to have any training. That can make all the difference. And taking you from what I would suggest is feeling relatively unsafe to a space of feeling safe. And I think at the end of the day, if you read that if you watched one of my last videos around why is it that we repeatedly do the things that we wish we didn't, and which inherently leads to what we call self-sabotage. A lot of it's tied into negative emotions, and that's based on past experience. So, or past memories. So it really is about, I believe, it's our sort of lifelong quest or our God-given right to move beyond those past experiences so we can simply be that very best version of ourselves, so we can influence the many people that we love and care about, and extend our reach out to all those people that are in need. So this session here, it's going to be very quick and very brief. I would have to say that if you haven't read my blog, the DIY, I forgot what the title is. It's the last blog on the Melbourne Corporate Health website, the DIY stress technique. I encourage you to read that before you actually watch this video, because that goes through all the detail, the process and a bit of the history behind what is now known or what is known as EFT or emotional freedom technique. Okay, so I do suggest that you read that blog and then watch this video if you're not obviously coming in and watching it live. So the emotional freedom technique, pretty much as the name implies, it's a way of moving beyond emotions, negative emotions. Anger, fear, stress, doubt, insecurity, also physical pain, even though I'm not teaching that modality today. It also allows you to move beyond any stress tied into performance. So if you don't feel that you're performing as well as what you wanted to, it assists you to move beyond some of those limitations. But today specifically, or tonight specifically, is about moving beyond or freeing yourself of negative emotions. Okay, so please, as I said, read the blog. So look, emotional freedom technique is obviously, if you've done any research behind it, it is to do with the meridians. I think there's like up to 300 meridians in the body, and there's all these different energy channels. I'm not going to go into any detail today. All I'm going to tell you is you don't need to be trained. You know, obviously a lot of Chinese medicine doctors and lots of stuff use meridian points, chakra points, all that sort of stuff, the energy points. You don't need any training. Okay, it's so ridiculously simple, and it always works, provided you follow what is known as the basic recipe. Okay, which I'll quickly step you through, because I'll do a couple of these videos just to make sure we're sort of on top of the on top of the basic recipe process. So, as I said, many meridian points, up to 300, many energy centers in the body. However, we solely focus on just a handful of channels and a handful of sort of key points in the body that allow us to help basically release some of these blockages in the energy centers or energy lines, energy systems throughout our body. Okay, that's basically what EFT is. Okay, it's a way of releasing or removing some of those blockages tied into negative emotions in this specific context. Okay, so and as I said, the blog obviously steps through exactly everything that you need to know. All right. You know, you can release, pretty much all my clients release negativity in about 30 to 60 seconds. You can learn this technique in probably 60, you know, maybe a couple of times, but maybe 3 or 4 times, and you pretty much nailed it. You'll you'll be able to take the intensity of a negative emotion, let's say, such as anger about a specific thing, okay, and be able to bring that all the way down from a 10, let's say, down to a 1 to 2 within a couple of recipes, within a couple of cycles. It happens all the time, and it's almost it's a very unique and simple process, which I encourage everyone to adopt. So the first thing is around, okay, well, you spoke about emotional freedom technique, and they are linked to, or it is linked to specific points, touch points. Right, so I'm just going to quickly go through where they are. I think you've got enough space where you can see me. So, firstly, let's just go through the points. So the first one, there's 9. We're going to use 9, maybe 10, but generally we use 9 points. So the first one is what we call the top of the head. It's the top of the head point, all right, just right at the top of the head. And the way I sort of find this myself is I just put my fingers just sort of in the middle of my ears there, and I come all the way around to the center, and basically where my fingers meet, that's basically the top of the head point, okay, all right, that's the top of the head point. Now the next one, that's number 1. The second one is in the middle of the eyes, or the middle of the eyes, right there. Okay, right, just around here. All right. Now you have points on both sides. That's why, as you see, as I'm stepping through this, I use 2 fingers, right? But that's basically the middle of the eye point. The side of the eye is you come down where there's a bit of a bony protrusion just there. Some bigger than others. Okay, that's the side of the eye, right there. Right. Really simple. And you go underneath here, underneath the pupil, okay, on that bony prominence there, okay, that's under the eye, right, under the eye. Have a look at my fingers that I'm using. That's a bit of a giveaway about how you go about actually pressing onto these points. Underneath the nose here, okay, right there, sort of right underneath the nose point, okay. All these different points that help us release negativity. Okay, under the chin, right, basically where my little goatee is there, and where the chin, there's that little valley, all right, it's right in the middle there, right there, okay. Right there, and the collarbone point is probably one of the harder ones. You sort of, for me, I just follow the collarbone down, and there's 2 sides, this left or right, but I'll tell you what I do. It's basically, you've got this sort of U shape here where the collarbone meets the rib. Okay, that's sort of, that's the point right about there where the collarbone meets the rib, and you sort of see that little notch. It's that little Y notch going down there. But for me, when I teach you how to tap it, to make sure we get it across, make sure you get the point itself, I generally use 3 or 4 fingers, so I sort of can't really miss it. But sort of that little, it's where follow the collarbone down, it starts to drop down. It's where the collarbone inserts onto the rib cage just there. Okay, all right. Okay, and then just around the chest here, if you can see, okay, right here, the center of the chest. Okay, right, and you'll see me doing something like this, or something like this here. Right, you'll see that, and I'll teach you about some of the hand techniques to make sure we hit those points where we can release that negativity. Right, and the last one is under the arm. Okay, so you go. It's not in the armpit. It's about 3 or 4 inches. I reckon for guys, for ladies, it's where the bra strap sort of wraps around. For the guys, it's just around where the nipples are. Okay, where the nipple is. All right, and basically right underneath the arm, under the arm. Right, and then they're 9 points there. We say it's a 10-point. I use 10 points, but I don't really count this one. This one's called the karate chop. Right, you can see the fleshy part of the muscle of the hand here. Right, and that's the point right there. I actually did forget one. Okay, so that's the fleshy part there. Right, that's called the karate chop point, and we're going to be using that especially at the start of the process. Now we're not going to use this one today, but there's one across the wrist. Okay, if you could use it, and you'll see it online as well. You just wrap your sort of 2 or 3 fingers from the end of the wrist down towards the last finger there, and you could almost, that's the so the radial side, right, and that's the wrist point. But we won't be using that one today. Okay, well we might. We'll see how we go. All right. So we've got top of the head, middle of the eye, side of the eye, under the nose, under the chin. Okay, where the collarbone meets the clavicle. Okay, so we've got the clavicle point. All right, or collarbone point. Right. Then we've got sternum point, and then we've got under the arm, which is about 4 inches underneath the arm. Okay, that's the other point there. Right, we've got the karate chop, which I'll talk to you about in a second, which is where that fleshy part of the hand is. Okay, if we wanted to, we could use the wrist point as well. All right, which is 3-finger gap off from the wrist. All right, it's right there, and that's where that's where the point is there, the wrist point. All right, so really simple. As I said, if you don't know those, I've got diagrams on the blog post or images of exactly where all these touch points are for the EFT technique. Okay, all you need to do is go and jump onto the Melbourne Corporate Health website and click the DIY stress release technique, and the diagram's there. But we'll go through it again. In regards to technique on how you actually hit these points, okay, let's go through this again. So with the top of the head, this is how we make sure you don't want to use one finger. You want to have a nice wide surface area, okay? And they're just little thuds, all right? They're just little thuds. So this is the crown of the head point, the top of the head point. Okay, I've got a nice open hand, so no matter what, if I miss it a little bit, if I move around, I'm still going to hit it. Okay, I'm still going to hit it. All right, the side, when I look at some of these facial areas, to hit these facial area points, to help us release anxiety, even depression, panic, fear, phobias, lots of stuff. Around the side here, so I've got 2 fingers on the facial area. All right, so side of the eye, that bony prominence again, and a little thud. So it's a bit of a percussion. You probably can hear that. All right, there. Sorry, I'm looking at myself in the mirror to make sure, in the camera to make sure I can see them hit the right area. So we go underneath the eye. So I'm still 2 fingers, okay? Really, really important. I've got an open hand here. I've got on the facial points, I'm using 2 fingers. Pupil, bony prominence, okay? Hear that little thud? Hey B, hope you're well. There's that little thud there, okay? Then we go from the nose point. Still, you could use 2 or 3, but I think 2's enough. All right, and it's down to the nose point. Under the chin, still 2 fingers. Okay, here we go. Good, all right. So that's that valley that we're trying to hit there. Now, as I said, this is a bit of a tricky one. So this is literally all I do. Okay, I just go. There's 2 sides, there's 2 points either side. I just use nice open hand. We could use this, but I like sort of my knuckles running horizontal. Okay, open knuckle. And hitting across the sternum, the clavicle area, that first rib. Okay, I'll take a step back. Okay, I'm going to look at the sternum. Okay, now I've gone from a horizontal position. And it's a nice wide, sorry, this microphone, nice and wide surface area to make sure they hit that point. And the last one, so ladies, remember ladies, it's the bra strap, or for the guys in line with the nipple. Okay, about 4 inches underneath the armpit. And a thud. So they're the points, and obviously that's the karate chop, okay, which we're going to be using at the start. Okay, this is the point where we start with. All right, I like to use 4 fingers there. All right, 4 fingers there. Open hand, 2 fingers, all knuckles horizontal. Okay, open hand, and then 3 to 4 fingers on the karate chop. And if you want to use the wrist. So how do we tie this all in together? All right, so you've got to get the statement right, the very thing that you want to work on. Okay, so with a lot of my clients, it's anger, anxiety, fear, doubt, worry, insecurity. As I said, there's many modalities, there's many things you can use this for. We're just solely focusing on a negative emotion, one specific negative emotion about one thing, okay? So all you need to do, it's really, really ridiculously simple. So you think about the emotion that you want to release about a specific thing. Okay, let's say for example, I know, I'll use a client example. A client had excessive worry about his finances at the close of this particular month, the month of October. So he thought about, okay, so what is it that I'm fearful of? So it's the emotion was fear, right? And he was fearful of the financial problems that he has for October, all right? So we just basically tie into a sentence. So just listen to this. So even though I experience fear, or even though I have fear, then the next part is about my finances. Now listen to this. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Okay, I'll say it again. Even though I have, in this case it's fear, even though I have the emotion, in this case is fear, about what? About my finances. Now here's the kicker. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. All right, that's the initiating statement. That is so important. In positive psychology, you know, we have a tendency to use positive language and lots of stuff. We actually need to hone in onto the negativity of the statement itself, so we then know the actual emotions released. Okay, so if you're going to do this process, I recommend you think about an emotion, right, that you want to work on. Make sure it's about something specific and just literally write the statement out. Okay, or think about the statement. So even though I'm experiencing anger about my fight with my sister, I'm just making it up, all right? I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I deeply and completely love and accept myself, okay? So you got to think about the emotion and make sure you're linking that emotion to something specifically, all right? So it's super important, okay? Right, so that's the first thing you need to do. Now, the initiating statement. Now, this will not work unless you associate into the negativity. So what do I mean by that? So if I'm just intellectually saying, you're fearful, even though I feel fearful about my finances, you know, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. No. I need you fully associated into the negativity, right? So what I do with my clients is I ask my clients, so I want you to remember a time when you were really fearful in this specific context. I want you to go back to that time. I want you to see what you saw, hear what you heard. I want you to feel the feelings of that fear, right? Now, just rest your mind. This technique will take it from an 8 to a 9 to a 10 or a 6 or a 5, and it'll bring it all the way down to a 1 to a 2. It always works. So it's so important that you associate. You've got to associate into the negativity. Whether it's anger, fear, sadness, hurt, guilt, depression, frustration, whatever it might be, okay? Even if it's a physical pain in the neck, right? You've got to associate into the pain. You've got to associate into the negativity. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Just give me a thumbs up if that makes sense, okay? You can't do this disassociated from a third position. It will not work, okay? Right, so that's an important caveat. If you don't do it, this process, forget about it. You've got to associate. It might be a bit painful to start off with, okay? But rest your mind in a couple of moments, it'll be gone. Okay, so you've got the different points, the 9 to 10 different points. You've got your initiating statement, okay, right, and then I'll show you how this then works. Okay, so we start with the chakra point, right? This is where we start. The karate chop point. So even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now, as we're doing this, okay, the first part of the sentence isn't the most important part. It's the second part that's really important. So sometimes my clients go, even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. No. You need to feel the words that you're saying. So even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. You've really got to resonate with the words that you're speaking. All right? Make sense? Yes, yes. Really straightforward. Okay? So that's the first phase. The second phase, so you've got that initiating statement you just spoken about. Now you don't use the whole statement all the way through these points. You just condense it, right? Make it really short. And it simply could be, I feel fear about my finances. Fear about my finances. Fear about my finances. Fear about my finances. So this is how it might look. Even though I feel fearful about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So we do this 3 times. Doesn't matter how many times you tap. Even though I'm on that karate chop point, even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now here we go. Stage 2. Okay. Fear of my finances. 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 Under the arm, fear of my finances. You do that 2 times. That's called the basic recipe. I'll go through it again. So even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Okay, here we go again. I feel fear about my finances. I feel fear about my finances. I feel fear about side of the eye. I feel fear about my eye, under the eye, under the nose. I feel fear about my finances, under the chin, the belly. I feel fear about my finances. Okay, and this, across the collarbone, I feel fear about my finances. Sternum, fear about my finances. Under the arm, fear about my finances. And now, 2 cycles. You take a deep breath in. So if you have connected already to the intensity of the statement, you then ask yourself, so Nima, Belinda, what you then do, you now ask yourself, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I feeling right now? You sit. Okay, it's gone down to a 6. Fantastic. Gone down to a 5. Good. And you start it again. Even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply, completely love and accept myself. Say it 3 times on the karate chop point. Look at the karate chop point. All 3 fingers. Even though I feel fearful about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Really feeling the words you say. Even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I feel fear about my finances. Top of the head. Nima, in the middle of the eyes. I feel fear about my finances. Hitting both sides. Side of the eye. I feel fear about my finances. Under the eye. Under that pupil, I feel fear about my finances. I feel fear about my finances. Under the nose, under the chin, I feel fear about my finances. Okay, collarbone, I feel fear about my finances. Sternum, I feel fear about my finances. Under the arm, 4 inches under the arm, I feel fear about my finances. And you go through again. But you could almost skip that karate chop. I feel fear about my finances. 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 Under the nose, under the mouth. I feel fear about my finances. I feel fear about my finances. Sit. I feel fear about my finances. I feel fear about my finances. 2 cycles. You take a deep breath in. Check in with the intensity again. Okay, check in with the intensity again. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, this process always works, even if you don't hit all these points properly. Okay, if you use my hand positioning that I've just shown you, it'll always work. Okay, it will always work. Now, so even though I did that karate chop that 2nd time round, remember 2 times around, guys, is 1 basic recipe. You keep on doing a recipe. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 recipes, 2 or 3 cycles. So remember, 2 cycles is 1 recipe. You might do 3 recipes for you to take your anxiety from an 8 or a 7 down to a 1 to a 2. All right? Now, what I would like is, before I nick off, what I would like is for you guys to actually do this now. Hopefully in the privacy of your own home, you've got no one around, or you can actually do it with someone. When you can do this with the kids. It's perfect. Or kids of all ages. Okay, it's so ridiculously simple. Okay. So what I want you to do just before I leave, okay, or before I sign off, maybe even if you're not listening to, there's not many people on this live recording, so maybe just pause this, right? Take some time. I'm just going to step back for a couple of minutes. Take some time to think about an emotion on something specific, even just for the purpose of the process, something that happened today, maybe some residual negativity, anger, sadness, fear, frustration, depression, some sort of annoyance or disappointment, whatever it might be. Think about what it is that think about the emotion, what it is, and think about what it's about. Okay? And then basically write this sentence down. Even though I feel dash about blank, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I'll say it again. Even though I feel blank, even though I feel blank, okay, about blank, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. That's the initiating statement. And then that shorter statement that you'll say, that you'll use during the different points might be, as I said before, something short: fear about my finances, fear about my finances, fear about my finances, back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, whatever. Make sense? If you have any questions, just message me now. So Nima, if you're doing this process, write the statement down, write the initiating statement down, and write that second short condensed statement. All right? Remember, the initiating statement must lead you right into the pain point of the emotion of that specific thing that you're feeling emotional about. Okay? Generally, once you do this, it only takes you 3 or 4 goes and you'll absolutely nail it. You'll absolutely nail it. All right, I've seen pretty much all my clients will take their anxiety or their fear or their anger from a 7 to an 8, sometimes even a 9. They'll bring it down to 1 to 2 with 2 basic recipes. Done. Obviously a bit of guidance with me. I'll do this a couple of times on both my personal page and the Melbourne Corporate Health page, just so you can really nail this process. And geez, you got to share this with your family members. It's just an absolute no-brainer. It's a fantastic DIY, and there's heaps of these videos on YouTube. And even short courses. There's some short course apps. Udemy. I think the short course app where you can purchase courses. I think you can get fully trained into this and you can get certified. You don't hit any certifications. All right. So I'm just going to assume Nima and B that you've got your statement out. Okay. I'm going to do this together. Right. I would do 2 recipes and I'm going to nick off. Right. But don't stop until, remember, you do your pre-test. So the first thing is, okay, so you get your initiating statement, right? So you just write it out, you've written it out, okay? So even though I feel, I'll use the same word, even though I feel fear about my finances, whatever it might be, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So you've got the initiating statement and you've got a shorter statement, I fear about my finances. Or fear about my finances, whatever it is, okay? Are you ready? Let's do this again. Okay. So start point number 1. All right. We started the karate chop point. Let's start tapping. Come on, guys. Even if you haven't got a statement, just get used to the actual the kinesthetics of actually touching these points. Repeat after me. Repeat your statement either mentally or ideally externally. Out loud. Even though I feel fear about my finances, use your statement. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. 2 more times. Even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Okay? Remember, you got the top, fear about my finances. Side of the eye, fear about my finances. Under the eye, fear about my finances. Under, fear about my finances. In the belly, fear about my finances. In the collarbone, fear about my finances. Into the chest, sternum, fear about my finances. Fear about my finances. Okay, you could go the wrist, fear about my finances. Here goes round 2, or still round 1. Fear about my finances. Side of the eye, fear about my finances. Under the eye, fear about my finances. Under the nose, fear about my finances. In the belly, fear about my finances. All 4 lower knuckles, fear about my finances. Sternum, fear about my finances. On the armpit, fear about my finances. Take a deep breath in. Now just consider, once again, your statement and how you felt at the start. Compare where that is now. Okay. That's 1 basic recipe. Let's go do another recipe. Even though I'm not going to use my statement now, Well, I might as well, so you get the rhythm right. Even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. We say it 3 times on the karate chop point. Even though I feel fearful about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel fear about my finances, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Fear about my finances, side of the eye. Fear about my finances, under the eye. Fear about my finances, under the nose. Fear about my finances, under the chin. Fear about my finances, the collar, the sternum. Fear about my finances, the sternum. Fear about my finances, under the arm. Fear about my finances. Go straight, skip the karate chop. You could go radial. Fear about my finances, back to the top of the head. Back where we started. Fear about my finances, side of the eye. Fear of the finances, under the eye. Fear of my finances. Fear of my finances. Fear of my finances. Fear of my finances. Here we go. Fear of my finances. Fear of my finances. Take a deep breath in. That's 2 basic recipes. Once again, connect with how you feel. And if you are following along with me, right, what you should have already experienced if you've taken that negativity from a 4, depending on how intense it is, from a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever it is, and that should have now come all the way down to maybe a 2, maybe a 3, maybe a 4, whatever it should have dropped. Sorry, it should have dropped. No, not should, it would have dropped. Okay. You keep on doing the basic recipe. Okay. I've missed that one. Remember, you only use the karate chop at the start, just to initiate the recipe. And then you hit, once again, top of the head, side of the eye, under the nose, the valley between the lip and the chin, the collarbone, okay, the sternum, and the armpit, okay. You hit that twice, and that is one basic recipe, remember? And that's the kicker. That's where you use your initiating statement 3 times and your shorter statements throughout those other points only once, while tapping 5 or 6 times, okay. Remember that with the finger positioning, okay, if you use the similar position of the fingers in the facial area, top of the head, yeah, across here, across the collarbone and chest, you'll always hit, because remember, we've got these points on both sides, you'll hit them. So keep the surface area nice and big, especially under the armpit, nice and big, and you'll still be hitting them. So don't stress about it. It's all good. This is all that stress relief, okay, so there's no concerns about that, all right? Remember, there are about 300 different rooting points in the body. There are different energy systems or energy lines throughout the body. And the reason why we utilize these 9 is it basically makes the most of all of them. Okay, so we can actually hit all those energy centers and help us, get rid of some of that blocked energy, via, associated with stress, anxiety, panic, all those negative emotions. Okay, all those negative emotions. Remember, you got to make sure you fully associate into the experience. Okay, otherwise it won't work. Because you need to know pre-test, post-test. Okay, what's the shift been? Okay, so inherently, as I close the way that I started. Okay, why society is in the state, the physical, mental, emotional state that we are in. Okay, is because we are victims of the past. Even though we're not consciously aware of it, we are trapped by past experience. We think that what we're focusing on now into the future, but let me tell you this, each and every time you experience anger, fear, sadness, hurt, guilt, frustration, depression, panic, despair, you have decided at the unconscious level, actually, it's not a decision, it's actually out of your conscious awareness. You have turned your back to the future, and you're now moving back into the past. Okay, negative emotions is an absolute dead giveaway that you're now focusing back in the past. We need to together come up with modalities, to come up with techniques based on models of excellence from the past, okay, to be able to allow us to move beyond past negativity. Okay, I said in one of my recent videos, give me the boy or give me the girl until he is 7, and I'll show you the man or I'll show you the woman. And it is so true. We need for us to truly thrive, in all areas of our life, physical, mental, and our emotional self. And then most importantly, influence the people we care about. Okay, we need to embrace past experience. And by embracing it, by finding the value of learning, love and appreciation, we can let it go. Otherwise, the past will continue recreating itself into the future. And then we say to ourselves, why does this always happen to me? All right, or we keep on doing those repeated things that we wish we didn't, and some might label it as self-sabotage. Okay. You know, those who watch this, and Nima and B's one of the few who actually do something about it. You know, there are certain rituals that I do every single day that's, you know, unfortunately not many people do. And these are things that I need to do because of what I've had to move beyond addictions and things that happened at a very young age within myself, okay, and around myself. It's a line of sand that I drew with myself, and I know that there can be heaven on earth. But heaven on earth, it doesn't necessarily, it will only show up when we embrace past experience, we embrace all forms of negativity, all perceived voids, and turn those voids into true elements of value and love and appreciation. Okay, so if you find this video valuable, please share it. I'll do this a couple of times just to keep it, even if no one does anything about it, even if it's just, I don't know, a couple of people, I don't really care. I know this stuff works. I've been doing it for 19 years. So the emotional freedom technique, it's all throughout the net. Read my article on Melbourne Corporate Health on the www.melbournecorporatehealth.com.au website. The most recent blog, the DIY stress technique. You know that I'm an executive coach, a personal and private coach, and I do a lot of facilitation across Australia. A lot of my work now is moving down to the Bellarine Peninsula. Obviously, my office is still set up, and we'll be staying set up in Melbourne as well. I'm passionate about helping people literally be their very best, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. If you know that there are some people out there that are in need, okay, always keep me front of mind, okay? It's something that I'm inspired to do. I literally want to be that vehicle for transformation, so people can simply be their very best version of themselves, then most importantly, influence the many, many people that they deeply care about, and then how that then becomes quite pervasive in society. Okay, so thanks for watching. Thanks for taking the time for yourself. And if you're listening to this as a recording, okay, please, please, please be one of the few who do, okay, and take on some of these techniques, okay. And if you have any questions, just email me at dean@melbournecorporatehealth.com.au or just direct message me on Facebook, okay. Thanks, guys. Take care. Speak to you soon. Bye.